Princess Lillian's Annoyance. About Princess Lillian, there is no record in official history, no mention in unofficial records, and not even a shadow in folk stories. The reason is simple: she had no remarkable achievements, wasn't exceptionally beautiful, and had no romantic affairs. In fact, even in her own kingdom, she was a princess with very low visibility, so there's no point in expecting those critical writers to waste ink on her. In any story, being unattractive is always a drawback, just like being off-key for anyone who sings. Imagine a winter night, a family finishing dinner, gathering around the fireplace to hear the elders tell stories, only to start with, "Once upon a time, there was a princess. She was very ugly, and there was no hope of her ever becoming beautiful." By this point, most people would probably be halfway into sleep. However, Princess Lillian, who was both unattractive and off-key, didn't care about this at all. She was a carefree princess, much like her father in his younger days. Her father was a remarkable king who, in his youth, achieved great feats with his vigorous hormones. Later, he married a princess from a neighboring country and gave birth to Lillian. They both looked decent enough, thinking that having a daughter wouldn't be too bad. Little did they know that Lillian's appearance would be a genetic miracle, leading to almost all records about her family ending with "from then on, the king and queen lived happily together," and Lillian wasn't even mentioned. Lillian's mother passed away when she was very young, and her lazy father, the old king, couldn't be bothered to discipline her. As a result, she roamed around the palace and even ventured into the common folk like an untamed wild horse until the age of 26, when her father realized there was a problem. He began arranging blind dates to find her a suitable match. However, after a few failed attempts with neighboring princes, the old king found himself in a dilemma. Lillian, on the other hand, had a good attitude. She thought she might not be pretty, but at least she was genuine. Unlike other princesses from different countries, who might be beautiful but were so artificial, demure, refined, never showing teeth when smiling, maintaining an air of elegance, with faces always portraying a peaceful life. Who knew what they were like in private? Lillian might be loud, speak crudely, and occasionally get into fights at the market, but she knew what qualities made a good girl. Those princes were just too blind. But in the end, a woman is a woman. Despite saying she didn't care, Lillian couldn't help but feel a bit upset, especially when she saw those princes who rejected her marrying the princesses she looked down upon. In general, there are two ways for a prince to marry a princess, either through arranged marriages, where both sides agree and they get married, or through unexpected events, like a demon kidnapping the princess, the prince rescuing her, and then they get married, living shamelessly ever after. The latter situation was actually quite advantageous for Lillian because before rescuing a princess, the prince had no idea what she looked like. The king could announce to the world that whoever saved the princess could marry her, and there would certainly be some naive prince coming to save her. After rescuing her, even if he didn't like her, there was no way to go back on it. It was a good method to attract a golden son-in-law. Lillian sometimes hoped to be kidnapped by some demon. A prince would come to her rescue, and her lifelong matter would be resolved. Unfortunately, the only demon nearby was her good friend, who she had played with since childhood and lived in a cave on a nearby mountain. One day, Lillian chatted with the demon, discussing her problems, and the demon expressed his dilemma. Do you think I'm so ugly that even demons don't want to kidnap me? Lillian said sadly. Demon is not a synonym for idiot. Do you think all demons are so lacking in common sense that they would kidnap a princess and wait for the king to send someone to kill them? The demon replied. Then, how about you kidnapping me? Why would I kidnap you? I have nothing to do. No, I mean, I don't have anything to eat. No, I suddenly thought, how about the two of us staging this? Then my father can announce to the world, and there will surely be a prince coming to rescue me. You must be joking with me. No, I'm serious. You're not being a good friend. You're a demon, and you should do some mischief. It's embarrassing for demons if you don't. Who said demons must do bad things? Evil is a homonym, and besides, what if the person who comes to rescue you kills me? You're responsible, you know? Oh, don't worry. Let me tell you my plan. So, with Lillian's persuasive tactics and a bit of coercion, the demon reluctantly agreed to stage this play to lure a prince. The demon was not happy about it, feeling it was unreliable and even inappropriate. It had a certain risk. If the prince accidentally killed him, it would be a historic joke, becoming the most comical demon in history. Acting dead, not even getting the princess's advantage. Lillian let the demon write a letter to the king, and she went back to the palace for a few sets of clean clothes and a bunch of delicious food before going up the mountain. The demon was shocked when it saw her, saying, "Are you being kidnapped or going on an outing? Did you bring so many things to stay with me long term? Also, how do I give this letter to your father? Am I supposed to deliver it myself?" Lillian took a look at the letter and said angrily, "Let's not talk about delivering the letter. Your wording is too polite. Respected king, hello, this tone is more like a proposal than a threatening letter. It should be more like a ransom." The demon complained, "I've never written such things before. Besides, have you seen any demon who kidnaps a princess and then writes a letter? Usually, they just rush into the palace directly and take her away, right? Your logic doesn't make sense. Stop being verbose. I told you right, so right. Besides, what's the point of arguing with me? Look, you can't even kidnap a princess. I have to come and teach you everything. Then the demon, as if taking dictation, wrote down what Lillian sent into a shoddy letter. The essence was that the demon had kidnapped the princess, and a prince should come alone to rescue her, otherwise, he would bear the consequences. After writing it, Lillian triumphantly pressed a handprint on it, stuffed it into an envelope, and secretly placed it under the king's pillow before going back up the mountain. Now, let's talk about the equally naive king. Because Lillian was always crazy outside, he naturally paid no attention to her disappearance. As for the matter of the threatening letter, he couldn't be blamed. After all, when people sleep, who would bother checking under the pillow unless their sleeping posture is too ferocious? Therefore, the king was completely unaware of the threatening letter, and a week passed without him noticing Lillian's disappearance or issuing any announcement to save the princess. Lillian stayed on the mountain for a few days and felt that something was not quite right. She asked the demon, "What's going on? Did my father accidentally post my portrait when putting up the notice? Your appearance is just a bit regrettable, not to the point of being terrifying. Have a little confidence in yourself. Someone will appreciate your character," the demon comforted her. Pfft, can you judge someone's character based on their appearance? What's wrong with people nowadays? Nobody is doing such an exciting thing as saving a princess. This is an unconditional love affair, Lillian said. I think it's more like a trip with no strings attached, the demon muttered quietly. Hey. Alright, don't worry. Someone will come to save you within 3 days, the demon confidently assured her. Sure enough, 3 days later, the demon came into the cave excitedly, telling Lillian that he saw someone coming from the mountain and it was a prince. Lillian jumped up from her chair in excitement, thinking that her father had finally found the prince to rescue her, and she eagerly went to the mirror to fix her hair and adjust her clothes. The demon gave her a stern look and said, "He's about to come up, and you're still fixing yourself? I have to tie you to the pillar. Come quickly." "I'll just trim my bangs first. I have to leave a good first impression," Lillian said. "You're being ridiculous. The neater you make yourself, the less you look like someone kidnapped. Besides, you should let me tie you to the pillar. Hurry up." Then the demon quickly tied Lillian to the pillar in a rush. Before leaving, he messed up her hair, causing Lillian to scream. After a while, she heard a man's voice outside. "Demon, how dare you kidnap the princess? Today, I'll kill you to save the princess. Eat my sword." Then there was a chaotic sound outside, as if a fierce battle was taking place. Lillian couldn't see anything inside, but she waited anxiously and worriedly. She thought the demon was getting too involved in the play. Judging from the commotion, it seemed like he was addicted to fighting. On one hand, she feared that the demon might harm the prince, and on the other hand, she was worried that the prince, who didn't know the truth, might kill the demon recklessly. Fortunately, after 10 minutes, the demon's voice came from outside. "All right, Prince, you win. I surrender. I'll take you inside to see the princess." Then Lillian saw the prince she had been longing for. How should I put it? The scene at that moment was absolutely indescribable with any words in the world. In the air, there was nothing but a silent and awkward silence. The prince, upon seeing Lillian, obviously had a look of a collapsing worldview. On the other hand, Lillian, upon seeing the prince, also had 1,000 words in her heart, mostly exclaiming, "Oh my God." It turned out that this prince was neither tall nor handsome. Standing next to the demon, he even made the demon look a bit handsome. The demon was about to lose control of the situation, hurriedly came to untie Lillian, and also did some ideological work in her ear. "I tell you, don't have any resistance." He came all the way to rescue you, showing that he has a brave heart and is a reliable man. You often say it yourself, appearance is not important, character is the key. Now you can't slap yourself, no matter how he looks. First, try to get along with him. Who knows, after mutual understanding, there might be feelings. Moreover, this idea was also yours. Next time, there might not be anyone to save you. Look at you, you're already 26. If you don't marry now, think about getting married and having children at what age? Do you want to be an older mother? Don't glare at me, it's not something I can decide. It can only be said that it's fate. Then the prince held Princess Lillian's hand and went down the mountain. They chatted happily along the way, building a good rapport. Until they returned to the palace, Lillian felt something was wrong because there was no one welcoming the safe return of the princess. Perplexed, the king walked in from outside, saying, "Lillian, where have you been these days? Why haven't I seen you? You even brought a man back." Lillian said in surprise, "Father, you didn't send anyone to rescue me?" The king said in amazement, "Rescue you? What happened to you?" It turned out that the king still hadn't seen the letter under the pillow. Lillian turned to the prince and asked, "Then how did you come to rescue me?" The prince remained silent for a long time before awkwardly saying, "The demon brought me here." Meanwhile, the demon was laughing uncontrollably on the mountain. It turned out that while Lillian went down the mountain to deliver the letter, the demon also went to the neighboring country to find a prince who couldn't marry a princess. The demon told him that in a few days, he would kidnap a princess, and as long as he came to rescue her, her father would promise to betroth her to him, and then the demon and him also staged a fake rescue play. However, when the prince saw Lillian, he had a feeling of being deceived. But no matter what, the demon, in its own way, played the matchmaker and successfully arranged a good marriage. On the wedding day, it also attended the ceremony as the witness of Princess Lillian and the prince. Even until now, the demon is still tirelessly doing the same thing for my friends around the world, selflessly helping them, which is why I was able to hear this story.
Sa